Okay guys, we're back. This is 1988 Shoalwater Sportsman Flats Boat Part 2. So this is where we're at. So you got to remember, I only have a day off, basically, is all that I have to do whatever I need to get done. That's not only working on the boat, but that's cutting the grass, doing any maintenance and upkeep around the house, working on the truck. So it's slow going. So here today, in this one here, we're going to get the motor off the boat, and we're going to reassess it and see what it looks like. So I'm getting the tools that I'm going to need to start disconnecting the linkage, the battery cables, the jack plate, wiring, all that stuff. So we got the boat back on the trailer. I got to make some modifications. Remember, I was telling you guys that I used 2x6s on the two outer banks. Well, it's not going to work because, well, I got to see if I can make an adjustment. I haven't been down there to see. But one of my fins on the port side, the fin on the port side of the boat is resting on one of the 2x6s, the outer 2x6s. So if I can't adjust it to where I can slide it out more towards the wheel well, I'm going to have to change it out and put 2x4s back in there. I don't understand it. I guess they're not correctly aligned, because you got to remember, that's how the trailer came. But they line up perfectly on the starboard side, but for some reason it doesn't line up perfectly on the port side. So maybe I just need to make an adjustment in the shackle that's there. We'll see. But that's going to be on the next video. But here today, what we're doing is we're going to take the engine off the back of the boat. Is what we're going to do. So I'm trying to get the hydraulic steering off right there. I was looking on here. I'm still not too clear, because normally when you buy these hydraulic steering, I think I got C-Star. I think that's C. Yeah, I think that's what I have. I think I have C-Star there. It's either C-Star or Navistar. It's one of those. But usually it tells you what horsepower that it's rated for. But on this one, I couldn't see it. But my recollection is, because you got to remember, this has been like, what, 7 years ago when it was done, was that this hydraulic steering's only rated up to 150 horsepower. Because it had a 115 on the back. So I might have to get a whole new hydraulic steering mechanism, one that's rated for 150 and up, because the motor that I'm going to put on there is going to be a 175. So I need to look up the serial numbers, because it doesn't tell me anywhere on there. So I just need to Google it and check it out, which I'm going to do tomorrow, since I'm off. Actually, this week I had 2 days off. I had Monday, and then of course I get Thanksgiving off. So this is a rare occasion that I actually have 2 days off in a week, 2 full days. That only happens like a couple of times a year, other than when I'm on vacation. But yeah, so yeah, that's something I need to look into, because I don't think I can reuse. I'm hoping I can reuse my hydraulic steering, because there's nothing wrong with it. It works fine. All that oil that you see that's caked on there, that's from the motor. That's not from the hydraulic steering. The hydraulic steering doesn't leak on this. But I think when I bought it years ago, I think it said it was only rated up to 150 horsepower. But I need to really check into that. And if it isn't, if it's rated up to, I don't think it's rated up to 300, because usually a 300 horsepower cylinder is really big and thick and, you know, massive. You know what I mean? This one's good size. So it may take a 175. Maybe it's rated up to 200. I'm just not sure. I need to look it up. I need to get the part numbers off it and look it up and see what it's rated for. Because, you know, like the jack plate, it usually tells you on the side what horsepower that it's rated up to. That's what is it? The old power trim, whatever that is, power trim jack plate that I have there. I have one that I took off my Dargo, and it's heavy dutier than that one. It's a lot heavy dutier made. I never had any issues out of it, so that's why I kept it. When I sold the motor, I kept the jack plate because there wasn't anything wrong with it, and it was rated to 300. I got it in the garage somewhere. It looks just like that one, but more bulky, more heavy dutier made. So I guess they made them a little bit heavy dutier. You know, what was that? 97 was when I bought it. It was a 97. So maybe whatever that is, what, 20 years, 30 years ago. Than what this one is, because this one stopped working on me. It's been frozen. It stopped one time, and I put a whole new wiring harness with new relays and everything on it, and that fixed the problem because I had corrosion in the line. So this time when it went down again, I'm thinking, oh, okay, so I got corrosion again because, you know, because of the salt, the water, it gets up in there to those relays, and if those relays get corroded, of course they're not going to work. So when I checked it, it was clean, and then I did an ohm test on the relays. The relays all checked clear. So I'm thinking it's in the actual pump on this. The one I had before that I have in the garage, I used it for 20 years on my Dargo, and I never had an issue one out of it, out of that power trim. This one, it's already broken down twice on me since I've had this. And you got to remember, I bought it used. It wasn't new. The motor was used. The jack plate came with it, used. So, you know, it's a toss up there. I don't know how much use it's had, how much abuse it's had, and this and that. But it hadn't worked for a while, so it was stuck in that position. As you can see where it's at right there, that's how I've been running the boat forever. It's just in that one position because it stopped working again. But I got to look into it. I got to pull the old one out if I can find it. And if it is in good condition, a lot of people don't like these. I think it's Power Trim. I think that's what this is, or Power Glide or something, whatever it's called. A lot of people, you always hear that there's bad things about them, that they're not that good. Maybe the ones that they make now, and, you know, in the past 5-10 years aren't that good. But all I know is the one that I had that I bought back in 97, I never had an issue. It always worked, and it worked the day that I took it off back in 2017, and it's been sitting in the garage ever since. I figured I'd hang on to it because I might need it, you know. But if it doesn't work well, I'm looking at getting the Bob's action jack. I don't like the Bob's where it's separated and you put the pump down in your storage. I don't like that. I like the one that's all in one. So they make that action jack now. I think you can get it for about $1,400. You know, but if my other one works, then I don't really have a problem using it because I never had an issue out of it before. But it looks similar to this one, but the aluminum is a little bit more beefier on it. So I don't know. Some people don't like them. Some people think that the best one by far is Bob's, and the next best is Atlas. And then you have, I think, what's that other one? DeWitt. DeWitt makes them. They usually see those on bass boats, though. I think it's DeWitt jack plates. But Bob's does put out a really good one. I mean, the only thing that I had against Bob's for many years is because you had to put the pump down inside your storage. But now that they make an all-in-one like this is, if my other one doesn't work, I don't have a problem picking up one of those Bob's. Or an Atlas. I think the only difference between the two is the Bob's is probably faster at raising than the Atlas. because I think they both use solid plates in the back that raise up instead of rollers, like how this I don't know, it's power something. I don't even remember what it is, but it's power something. I forget what kind of jack plate this is. Power Glide, I think, or something like that. But anyway, that's going to be something I need to look into. So here we are. We're disconnecting the linkage and all that stuff to get that off. So I can put the, eventually once I get the motor separated, I'm going to put the sides all back on the motor and everything to cover it up and all that stuff. Because there's still a lot of good parts on this motor. If I can ever find an oil seal for it, for the bottom of the power head, and also for the oil pump that sits between the power head and the, actually I think the oil pump bolts on top of the midsection of the lower unit there, or the midsection unit. And then you set the power head on top of that, and then that bolts down. If I remember right, that's how it's done when I took it apart. So if I can find those two seals, eventually I wouldn't mind overhauling this and putting it on something else, finding something else to put it on. So that's why I told you, it's not, I mean, it's done for me for on the Shoalwater, but that don't mean that I'm completely done with the motor. You know, in the future, it may make a comeback in some shape or form on a smaller boat if I get another one. So there's Rusty. Rusty's getting the feel of sitting in the boat. So I'm just putting him out there, let him get the feel there so he can get used to being in there. Those new experiences for him. But yeah, I'm excited. So it's just going to take a little bit of time, like I said, because I don't have a lot of time to devote to it. It's just a, you know, chip away here, chip away there on it. But yeah, we disconnect the linkage. We disconnect the hydraulic steering. We take the cavitation plate off. Get that out of the way. Disconnect the battery cables and all the wiring, the main wiring, because of course that just got a little twist on plug that you just twist that and it comes off. Jack plate wiring. Rusty's right there to help. He's learning his new role as first mate on the boat. But yeah, I know, like on this linkage here, I know I took the whole bracket assembly off. I know you can just flick those two little arms off, but I wanted to take the whole bracket assembly because I want to store it so it doesn't get damaged. So I'm going to keep that somewhere separate from the motor. Actually, I'm going to keep it with the linkage. Once I get the rest of the linkage out of there, I'll roll it up and keep it all together with that. But I'm telling you, man, the 7 years that I've had this motor, I've done a lot of work on this motor. I've replaced a lot of stuff. I've kept the maintenance and upkeep, and I've kept it clean. It's just like I was saying, what I've said in previous videos, if y'all have watched them before, when I was working on this motor, the guy that I bought it from told me it only had 220 hours, 225 hours on the motor. That's all that he said that it had, low hours. And one day, me and Cassie were out there, and the paint was already fading on the cowling and on the covers that go across the midsection. So I figured, heck, I'll just take them off, and we're going to spray paint everything black, and we'll spray paint the console black so it matches, and the hatches will spray paint it black, so it'll be a gray and black theme. So when I took those covers off and I was looking, as you can see right down here where that front motor mount is right there, you can see it right there below the, right there next to the jack plate. I had noticed it was completely the steering pin that goes down in between it that's supposed to lock into that front engine mount was completely gone. It was completely rusted off. And that's how I figured out, okay, now I can see why at low speeds I had problem, like at almost idle speeds or just right above idle speeds, controlling the boat to keep it going straight in the water. I couldn't figure it out. Like I was having a lot of slack in there, and I'm like, man, I got hydraulic steering, so I couldn't figure it out. But reason why I had all that play in the bottom right there, that's why. So so anyway, so I looked around. They no longer made it because it's a 2006. That's one thing you're going to find out. The older your engine is, the harder it is to find and resource parts for it, unless you go to a salvage yard and get them used. And now it's a perfect example there. That steering pin is no longer made. What I wanted is, they used to make a stainless steel one, because that wasn't a stainless steel. That was just a regular steel that they put in there, and it rusted out. So when this guy told me that it had 220, 225 hours on this motor, I can tell you right now, it has a lot more than that. It'd been in salt water a long time for it to rust out that whole bottom section of the steering pin. That's a long time it had to be out there. So I started looking around, and I found one up in Chicago at some salvage yard off of, I forget whatever lake it was. I forget the town, but they had a lake there, and they serviced the marine community there around there. It might have been one of the Great Lakes. It might have been off of Lake Superior. I don't know, but it was right there, a big old salvage yard. And they had one of these on a blown motor that had only been in fresh water. So I had to give them a deposit. I think I paid for that steering pin. I think I paid $400. So I sent him $200, and then he sent his mechanic out there to strip it out and pull it out. And then they sent me some pictures of it and emailed those back to me, and it was clean. I mean, it looked brand new when and you couldn't even tell. The motor had low hours on it that it came off of, but for some reason they had blown the motor. I don't know what the full details was, but the motor was completely blown. But so yeah, so that's where I got the steering pin. And so then I pulled the power head off it, pulled the midsection off it, because you got to pull all that off to get to the steering pin to get it out. And then I took the steering pin. I had to beat it out with a hammer because it was so corroded, and a long round like wooden punch that I had to make, but I got it out and greased everything up, slid the new one in. Then it turned. I mean, it turned smooth, real nice, you know. Baystar, that's what I have. You see it? That's what it says on this. So I have Baystar. That's my hydraulic steering. I got to check the rating on that. So anyway, so I assembled all that up. There's a video. I made a video on it there. Me and Cassie, we did it. Where we took everything apart and we reassembled it and put it back together. And it ran good for a little while, and then we started going back to issues with crank no starts on different things, man. It's just been one issue after another with this motor. So I think it's time to or pretty much retire it, and maybe somewhere down the line find one that I can take this one and another one, and then make one motor out of it. You know, find one that's in good shape, and have one for parts. But yeah. So that's why I kind of knew that, hey, you know, that's just kind of the deal is when you buy a used motor, you know, it's just like a used car, you know, low miles. You know, low miles, when I was growing up, that means anything under 20,000. But low miles in today's society means anything under 250,000. If it's got 200,000 miles on it, it's considered a low mileage car in this day and age. But back when I was growing up, back in the 80s and in the 90s, when I was driving vehicles, low mileage was anything under 20,000 miles. So that 20,000 turned into 200,000. Well, actually 250,000, because even the 200, I've seen them on Facebook Marketplace. It's got 220,000 miles on the truck, and they like it's got low miles. So in this motor's case, it's not really miles; it's low hours. So, but see, as you can see, it's clean. I'm telling you, I take care of it. I'd wash it out, shoot it down with the old either WD-40 or the PB blaster. Make sure things don't corrode out on it and all that stuff. Because, you know, in the salt water, everything corrodes fast. So you're always, I have some corrosion X that I always used on the wires to keep the wire connections from corroding. So taking the fuel line off there. That's not even the proper setup anyway, because it shouldn't have a hose clamp on it like that. That's when I had to do I went down to the Sportsman when it broke down on me out there in Redfish Bay on my way back from the land cut. I had two problems with it. One, the pickup tube and the gas tank was brittle, and from hitting those waves, the boat slapping and hitting the waves, it broke it right off and fell in there, and I couldn't get fuel. But before that, I had noticed that it was leaking fuel out the back. I could see it coming out the back down there by the prop. Fuel in the water, I could see it. And the hose that I had on there before had a bunch of spider cracks in it, all up and down the hose that runs through the hull from where it comes from the tank, and it goes down through the hull and it comes out to the motor. Well, where it was, for some reason, where it never got any sun, I don't know why, but it cracked, and that was a marine grade fuel hose. And so when I went down to the Sportsman to get some more at the time when it had happened, when it had messed up on me, to replace that fuel line, they were out of the 3/8 size that I had. They had 1/2 inch is what they had. So I was stuck with getting an automotive one so I could put the boat back in the water. And that's what that is. That's an automotive one. So that's why it's got a regular hose clamp on it. Because I was using automotive and not a marine grade. So I've already bought the marine grade hose. I have one, the thick heavy duty one. And I think I got the clamps, but I don't think they're metal. I think they're plastic. Those specialized crimping clamps for the new motor that's going to go on there. So I'm buying a piece here, a piece there, getting everything together to be able to assemble everything. I still need to buy some more wiring, you know, for wiring up the lights, you know, and just any other accessories and stuff. Because I'm going to replace that switch panel. That switch panel I put on there is kind of, and actually, it's surprisingly, it's kind of cheesy because I bought it off of eBay, and it's a Chinese made one. All I had on there was the I think it was a 3 switch marine grade one, and my deck lights on the boat are green. So I couldn't find a marine grade toggle switch panel that shown up in green. It's either white or red, you know, is usually what they come in. And so when I was online on eBay, I found this Chinese one that has all this, has a cigarette lighter, has this thing to plug your phone into, USB ports, all that stuff. And it had like, I don't know, 8 or 10 switches on it. And everything lit up in green that matched the color of my deck lights that I have there on the boat. So so I went with that, and actually it held up pretty well out there. I mean, it was still working. I mean, granted the charge gauge that was on it didn't work anymore, but the switches were still working. But I'll go back this time with something that's more marine heavy duty grade on it, on the panel there, for the light panel and light switches. I think I need like 8, I want to say, because I have a bilge pump. I have one that runs the spotlight. I have one that runs the aerator for the live well. I have one for the lights, for the navigation lights, one for the deck lights. What else? I'm missing something else that I have to run. There's something else that I have to run. So it needs to be like a 6 to 8 toggle switch panel is what I got to look for. But that cheap China knockoff one actually worked pretty good for a long time. It was still working when I, you know, when I took the boat out of the water. The only thing that wasn't working was the voltage meter on it anymore. That had stopped working, but the cigarette lighter still worked, and all the toggle switches still worked. You know. So I guess I got my money's worth out of it. I think I only paid like, I don't even remember, like 49 bucks for that whole panel. It wasn't that much. And it matched my, because my gauges were in green too. The lights on them were green. So I wanted to try to keep everything on that green theme. And that's why I went with that. So hopefully I can find now that they have a good marine grade one that has green lights on it. So as you can see, we got it off, right? Or are we still working on it there? I guess we're working on it. So it has I think it has a 5/8 on top and a 9/16 on the bottom is on the nut, on that steering, that locks that steering to the pin, to the steering pin, that hydraulic steering. And it's in a difficult place too. I couldn't remember how I did it the time before when I took it off and I separated the power head, because I had to take it off to get the pin out because it's attached to the pin. And you just got to get the motor in the right angle. I had to turn it in the right angle to get to it. That's what the key was, to where it gave me enough clearance to get in there and take it off. And that's what I do. But yeah, Baystar, that's what I have. That's what I'm doing. I'm trying to find where I can get the most clearance there and turning the wheel. So yeah, I'm excited. We will get this guy off here in a minute. Just got to get that steering off at first. Then we'll get rid of the cavitation plate. Get that out of the way. I'm hoping that cavitation plate will fit that Yamaha. I haven't sized it up out there yet to see if it does fit it. But hopefully, crossing my fingers that it will. I won't have to go get another cavitation plate. Because that's that Stiffy Shaw Wing cavitation plate. I think I paid like 300 bucks for that thing. And it's been a pretty good cavitation plate. I can't complain about it. It's the bolt-on type, so you don't got to drill the holes. I think pretty much all of them now are bolt-on type. But back in the day when they were first started putting big cavitation plates instead of those little whale fins off the back, you had to screw into the lower unit, drill holes in there, and put bolts through there like that to hold it on there. But this sandwich style works pretty good. So I got to break out the big old crescent wrench to pop that adjustable nut there for the hydraulic steering to get that arm off. And it doesn't want to come off. Look at that. But eventually I get it to break free. Rusty's still exploring the boat there, trying to get used to that. So I put him up there as much as possible so he can get used to walking around and being familiar with it. But yeah, I can't complain. I paid, I think, $3,000, $3,200 for that motor 7 years ago. So I got 7 years use out of it. So do the math. That's it's not too bad for the price that I paid for it. It served its purpose. It's time to move on. Put something else on there, so I can have many, many more years of service out of the new engine. So yeah, I was sick. The whole thing, it's corroded. It's corroded right there where the arm comes out to that nut. So I have to take it off a different route. I need to get I take the two outer lock nuts off where it curves. And then I use the hammer to tap it one way so that it disconnects from the actual hydraulic itself, the hydraulic piston. And then I can turn the whole thing and get it out. That's how I can do it. That's how I do it. That's how I take care of it here. I don't know if you can see it all in the video, but that's what I do. The camera's kind of off center. It's on my chest, and it's hard to see what I'm doing. I need to get me one of those ones where you hang it around your neck so it raises the level just a little bit more. So that's what I'm going to do. Is I'm going to try tapping it there. I'm going to see that doesn't work. So I come up with the bright idea that, hey, I'll just go around the other side and I'll tap the other arm back and remove the piston, and then I can turn just the whole thing because it's free spinning since it's corroded and it's frozen, and it works. That's what happens. That's how I get it off. But yeah, my old Shoalwater is a 1988 Shoalwater Sportsman 21-foot flats boat is what it is. They started making them in 1984. So that's the 4th year in that model range. Because they have different configurations on them when you buy some of them. Some of them have that extra third box right there in front of the transom. Mine doesn't have that. That'd be pretty cool to have, but it just so happens the one I have doesn't have that. There it is. See how it came right off? Now I'll be able to turn that whole thing and pull that whole thing out right here. I'll loosen it up and take the whole thing and take that curve arm out of there on both of them. But yeah, the last video, guys, that was a pretty good video, huh? With my out there in Rattlesnake Bay. I'm telling you, I love Rattlesnake Bay. Been fishing out there a long time. There's just all kinds of possibilities out there on any given day when you're out there. But yeah, you saw I put a lot of different other little spots, shows you how quick and easy it is to get to those, to El Moro Bay, grass flats east of Duncan's house, 3 Islands, Green Island, North Cullen Bay, Caballo Island, Horsebird Island, grass flats east of Rattlesnake Bay, Horse Island Bay, all those places. That's one beautiful thing about putting in at the Royal. You have all those places just right there, close by. There she is. Came right off. There it is. So I'm going to keep my fingers crossed, and I'm hoping that Baystar hydraulic steering will run a 175. but I don't know, something in the back of my mind is telling me that it was only rated up to 150. That it was 70 horsepower to 150 is what I recall. But I could be wrong. I just need to get the serial numbers off it and look it up. All right, hydraulic steering is disconnected from the engine. Now I gotta need to remove the jack plate, the wires for the jack plate. So those I'm just gonna cut. That's all I'm gonna do for now, because I'm gonna put a whole new wiring harness in there anyway, so I don't need that old one. I want to say next we're gonna take the cavitation plate off. First, I'm sizing up to see what size wrench I need for the bolts to unbolt it from the transom. And when I go back with it, you see how I got those little plates? I'm going to go back with a solid bar plate across the top and a solid one on the bottom to give it a little bit more strength. I'm even thinking about a whole plate back there. That's I haven't ruled that possibility out either. And I might do that. So I think it's 5/8 on the nut, or maybe 3/4 and 3/4. I don't know why I'm thinking maybe 5/8. 3/4 on the head, 3/4 on the nut. But I still need to get that cavitation plate off first before I unbolt it from the back of the truck, or from the back of the boat. There's Rusty. First mate Rusty. He's first mate now. Hopefully he'll take to it like Cassie did. So the story about Rusty, if you guys want to know about Rusty, it's kind of the same story as Cassie. A neighbor across the street here had a litter of puppies. He's supposed to be purebred Shih Tzu, supposedly. I mean, the hair looks kind of strange on him. He's got the body of a Shih Tzu. And then, but he looks kind of long, though. You know what I mean? A little bit longer than what you normally see. But supposedly he's full-blooded Shih Tzu. They swear up and down that he is. But he was real small. So we got him from the neighbor. They gave him to us, just kind of like how I got Cassie, because she's the run of the litter. And it's pretty wild. Rusty was born in December of 2024. And Cassie was born in December of 2007. So that's when we got Rusty. We got him back last year in December of 2024. So him and Cassie spent some time together from December 2024 until she passed in May of 2025. So yeah, Rusty was just kind of a given away dog too, like Cassie was, that they didn't want. And we picked him up and And, you know, we'll see. We'll see how he does. He's a little bit more timid than Cassie. But hopefully we can grow him out of that, his timidness. So right there, I'm taking off the cavitation plate. I realized, hey, I forgot to take it off. I need to get that off because I had already disconnected the battery cables. So there's no way of me trimming the motor up to get it off. So I got to get down on the ground and take it off down there. I missed taking it off when I was messing with it before I disconnected all the batteries and pulled the batteries out of the boat. And disconnected the starting cable from the engine. I'd already done that too from the starter. But that's been a pretty good cavitation plate. I don't really have any thing bad to say about the Shaw wing. It's pretty good. I you know, I don't really have any issues with it. I mean, it works. It does what it's supposed to do. I haven't had any problems out of it. I want to say they may make them in different colors now, but back when I bought this one, which is what, 6-7 years ago, I think 6.5 years ago is when I bought that one. I think they only had two colors, white and black. Of course, black goes better than white with my gray hull. And it's held up well. I don't have any complaints out of it. It's done a good job. But you know, all the old timers say, people that work on that that are serious about props and stuff, they say if you pick the right prop with the right cup, you'll never have the issue of it blowing out. That's what they say. It'll always get up. And you know, and they may be right. I mean, I'm no prop expert, but they may be right on that to a certain extent. Because I mean, if you're in 12 inches of water, I don't think you're going to get up without a cavitation plate on the back of your boat. I don't care what prop you put on the back. I don't care if you put the HHP prop, the Power Tech. I mean, whatever you want to go with. I've been out there long enough that you need to keep the water there. There has to be water there. If the water's pushing out past the back of the boat, you're not going to get up, especially in that super shallow extreme water. Because you know, I'm even thinking about on this Yamaha putting one of those what is it, HH or HPP or HHP props. It's like they're kind of like TRP props that come on the older style Yamahas. Somebody made their own version and they call them either HPP or HP. I think it's HPP props. High Performance Props. I think that's the name of the company. High Performance Props. But that prop runs you $2,000 for one, for a new one. You're gonna pay $2,000 for a 175 Yamaha horse, easy. If they even make one for one that big, I got to go look at their website. They're out of, I think they're out of Rockport or Port O'Connor, one of those places is where they're at. But I am thinking about it. But that 4-blade that you see that's on there, on that Mercury, no issues with that one. That's been a good prop. I don't know what brand that is. I don't think you can read it anymore. But it came with the motor. I mean, it was already on the motor when I got it. And it's been a good prop. It's worked really well out there in the shallow waters, getting up and skinny water. So that's still to determine what type of prop. If I'm going to use like a double prop setup, similar to a TRP, which is the HPP prop, high performance props. I think that's what they're called, HPP. They got a big following. A lot of people use them up in the Port O'Connor area, the Rockport area, the Ingleside area. There's a lot of fishermen, anglers, guides, and or whatever, captains that like that. And something else that I seen that they were developing too, which also Bob's has developed out of Florida. They've had that for a while. Low water pickup. It's not your regular one, because what's always kind of held me back is it's kind of cheesy how they do the low water pickup. I've seen how they've done them on these Yamahas. They just drill a hole in the side of the lower unit there where the water jacket is, and then you just tap in a PVC tap or a brass tap, and then you hook in one of those flex hoses like you would see underneath your sink, but just thicker, like 5/8 size or whatever. And then, of course, they would drill holes. Bob's drills holes in the front of the lower end unit, and they cover the holes that are in the back where the water pump pickup is. I'm not too keen on those, but there's one that I saw. Somebody, I want to say there in Rockport, that they make it. I just don't know if they make them for a 175 that big, because I've seen them on 70 horsepower, 60 horsepowers, 80 horsepowers. It mounts on the back bottom of the hull, and as you're skimming across the water shoots through there, and that's how it picks it up, instead of you having to drill a hole in the side of your lower unit to attach a flexible pipe. But the downside to that is that flexible pipe has to come up and then go somehow plugged into your water system on your motor. So you have the potentiality of failure there if those long, because it takes two of them, because you have one on each side, one on the port, one on the starboard. You have the potentiality to how should I say, the old saying is, the more pieces you put in there, the more complicated it gets, and the more prone it would be to break down, the more opportunity you're given for it to break down and to malfunction. I like the way that they have it, how it picks it up, because they've been using those in race boats forever. That's how they do it, to pick up water to cool the engine. That's been done forever, but somebody's finally developed it for flats boats. What I just don't like is having those two long hoses that come out from the bow, not the bow, but the stern, up and connect to the motor. There's just too many variables there, or problems that could go wrong with that. If somebody could perfect something a little bit tighter, then you may be onto something. But we'll see. That's still another decision that's down the road that has to be made. We're nowhere near thinking on what type of prop. If we're going to go with some type of shallow water, low water pickup system. I'm just thinking out loud, but we'll see. You never know. All right, so now I'm going to start taking the motor off. I got my tubing wrench up there. Going to get it locked into place. And actually, the 4 bolts come out pretty quick, pretty easy. I mean, it's off before you know it. Just disassembling all the wire connections first, and the cables and all that stuff is what took the longest. There's Rusty, ready to hand me the wrenches. Like, do you need a wrench? I'll get you one. Tell me what you need. So yeah, I'm pretty excited on that to be able to get the motor off. And let's move on to the next phase. All right, there's the impact. We're going to start taking bolts out. There we go. Just checking it. I'm using my impact socket 3/4 that I normally use to take my lug bolts off on my truck. It fits perfectly on there. And my snap-on impact air impact gun. Came right out. I got to put the wrench back on it though. I think the wrench fell off. I was surprised. I think the whole thing already came off that quick. It surprised me. Yeah, you can't see that one bunk, that outer bunk over there. I'm hoping there's room for me to slide it more to the wheel well so I can get it off of the fin. That's what I'm hoping, but I haven't really looked into that. I'll look into that tomorrow since I'm off and see. I just need to do an adjustment. If I don't, that means I got to go buy another board. And actually, everybody's gonna be closed tomorrow, so I forgot to pick up 2 boards. He came right out. Look at that. Quick. The impact. That makes quick work of it. Put the wrench back on it. And zip another one out of there. Yeah, I got to get a better camera angle because you can't see what I'm working on. I'm working on the bolts that are attached to the jack plate that attach to the transom. But yeah, this is for phase 3 in the life of this boat. Because the original motor that was on this boat was a Johnson 140 88 model. Is what it originally had. So we're going to go just a little bit bigger than the original one with the 175, but it's instead of a Johnson, it's going to be a Yamaha. So yeah, so we got 2 more to go. So I did look at it, and what I have on there on my hydraulic steering, that's the Baystar, which is made by Seastar, but it's Baystar is their brand for smaller engines, so it's only good up to 150 horsepower. So I am going to have to look into getting a whole new hydraulic steering system, because that steering system that's currently on the boat right now is only rated for up to 150, and the motor that I'll be putting on there will be a 175. So here we are. We're gonna get the tubing wrench back on the nut up in there by the jack plate, and so we can get the last 2. Got 2 more to go. I'm just collecting all the washers and nuts so I don't lose any of it, and then we're going to finish taking off the other 2. But yeah, so that's another thing that I'll have to be looking into for the, just another part of the process of getting this boat back, restored back into working condition. I mean, I don't really want to take the chance of using a hydraulic system that's only rated for 150. I don't know if it would make a big difference, but it may, because I mean it's only rated, so I'm not going to take that chance. Even though I'm only adding like 25 more horsepower to it, I'd rather just get one that's rated for that. So I got to look into some of the C-Star steering kits and hydraulic systems to see what they have. So we're collecting that. I seem to have lost one of the nuts there. I think I find it right there. The bolt. But yeah, excited. Like I say, guys, I don't have a lot of time to work on it. I chip away here, chip away there. I apologize for being such a long time, but it's going to be it's a slow process. You know, I mean, eventually we'll get there. We will be back on the water eventually. It may take a little bit longer, but eventually it'll happen. So let's get those last two off. So while we're working on that, we can talk about, I guess I got another video coming up that I need to finish editing. And besides this one, but it's going to be on, I want to say, El Morro Bay. So you don't really ever hear me talk about El Morro Bay that much, but that's a really good place on the lower Laguna Madre to fish. Shallow water in the back, mud in the middle, grass around the edges. Really good place for trout and reds. Biggest red I've ever caught out of El Morro Bay was 29 inches, I think, if I recall. So a nice big reds are back there. But yeah, there we go. Bolt number 3. Well, actually, it looks like that's bolt number 4. I've already got the other one there, so this looks like that's the last bolt. It's holding it in right there. I'll make sure my strap's secured. And once we get the motor separated, we're going to put all the covers back on it and seal it back up. And then I'll lower it to the ground right there. But yeah, I'm excited. One of these days, it'll have that 175 on the back. Originally, it had a 140, and then that one was just, you know, wore out, basically. Had an old 88 Johnson 140 on the back, 2-stroke. And then I got this one here, which is a 2006 Mercury 4-stroke electronic fuel injection. I think it's like the first or second year that they came out with 4-strokes. And now we're going to be upgrading to another 4-stroke, but it's going to be a Showmax. The Yamaha 170. Gotta get the hose out of the way. So here we already have it off. So we took the motor off, hooked the truck up to the trailer and pulled it out away from the tree. And I just want to get my impact out of the way there. So everything looks good. The transom looks good, still solid. And you see, I'm going to check it here in a minute, and it's still solid. So I just think I need to put in some metal brackets or plates on the inside of the transom when I put the new bolts back in with the new motor, just for a little bit more reinforcement. But the wood looks really solid there. I don't see any rot or any dry rot or wet rot. When I look through the holes there, the wood's still nice and firm. So I'm going to inspect it right here with a flashlight. That's what I'm going to do. I want to take a look in there to see, just to make sure that I don't have any rot on my transom, since it is a wood transom on this old boat. And I guess you can't see it in the camera, but that's what I'm looking. I'm checking that. All 4 holes, making sure. And then I'm tapping on the hull to make sure it sounds solid. But look, see, just look at that massive tunnel that's underneath that boat. That's what makes all the difference for it to get up in that shallow water and run in that shallow water. It pushes a lot of water into there, right into the back of between the sponson where the motor is. So the transom looks really good. Solid. So yeah, just double checking it, but I'll probably put a plate in there to give it more support, because I didn't have the upper or the lower plate on it before. But now that a bigger motor is going on it, that's what I'm going to do. So that's where we're at with it, guys. Next thing is going to be to get the gas tank out, get all the wiring out, the shifter cables, all the gauges off of it and everything, and get all that cleaned out of it too. So that'll be the next step in this. But like I say, slowly but surely, it's coming along. Piece here, piece there. I'm probably gonna have to get a sander to sand that off, to sand it down on that. I'll fix that bunk or readjust the bunk. I'll have to look at that. And we'll have to reassess to see, because I'm not sure if it's already pushed all the way out. It may be pushed all the way out on that outer bunk, and I may have to switch it to a 2x4. But it's coming along, slowly but surely. It may be at a snail's pace, but we're doing a little here, we're doing a little there, and eventually it'll all come together. And Rusty and me, one of these days, we'll see you guys out drift fishing on the Lower Laguna Madre. One other thing I do want to say here before I close it off is I want to thank all subscribers. We're over 600 subscribers, and Cassie would not have never imagined that it would get that big, and neither would I. And you have our utmost appreciation and thanks from Cassie, from Rusty, and from me. All you guys, thank you. Y'all have a good day. And once again, we will see you out drift fishing one of these days on the Lower Laguna Madre. Y'all have a good day. look at this one. Good job, Chica. Good job, Chica. Let's put it back in the water. Yeah, Chica. It's a beautiful 24-inch redfish, buddy. Look at that. Beautiful color. Nice and healthy. Nice. Got one spot on one side and one on the other. I don't think they're in the same place. Oh yeah, they are. They're exactly in the same place. Come on, baby. Come on. There he goes. Yeah, beautiful redfish. He already hit himself somewhere. Okay. Good job, Chica. Mark up another one.